All right, we're back. My name is Will Austin. This is the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Oh, well, it's been going on. This thing has been going on for a while now, and probably being followed by people outside of Florida more so than people in Florida. This has to do with the back and forth between Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the Walt Disney Corporation. So for those that have followed the Walt Disney Company's botched attempts to sink Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Republican legislators' agenda, it's been a long string of missteps, flawed strategies, and outright lies by the House of Mouse. Yeah. On Wednesday, Disney lost, again, a legal battle to DeSantis. Now, before we go on, this whole idea comes from the Reedy Creek Management District, that in the 60s, the Walt Disney Corporation got this huge advantage. They had this entire property that they didn't have to ask for permission to do anything. They could do whatever they want. They were the kings and queens of that domain. I guess now more queens than kings, but they could do whatever they want. They had carte blanche to do whatever they want in this area. They were the government. They were the ladies and lords of this area, and it was a sweetheart deal to get them to come here. Well, when Disney decided that they were going to go after legislation, they were going to interdict themselves into some legislation that was passed, the Parental Rights Act. Governor DeSantis said, "Hey, wait a minute, wait, you can't be apolitical and then be political and have this sweetheart deal with the state. You can't stand on our side of the fence and throw rocks at us." So a settlement has been reached between the parties and announced yesterday that puts to rest, in a favorable way for Florida and DeSantis, Disney's last-ditch attempt to foil the successful takeover of the elimination of the Disney-controlled district that allowed the company significant autonomy in and around its Walt Disney Resort. In short, Disney's admitted its efforts to thwart DeSantis were null and void and unenforceable. Here's the article from Florida Voice. Disney is set to drop its lawsuit against the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District. That's the government. That's Ron DeSantis's government, the state of Florida's government, coming in and replacing the Reedy Creek district. And the district will drop its own lawsuit against Disney. Claims and counterclaims from both parties will be dismissed as well. Disney is also set to drop a public records effort, part of the legal battle. Legal battles were over the last-minute, far-reaching restrictive covenants and agreements, which gave Disney broad power and developmental rights over its former self-governing improvement district, Reedy Creek, which was dissolved and replaced last year. At the time, the Reedy Creek board attempted to sabotage Florida's takeover. Not takeover, normal stuff. It's not takeover, it's normal stuff. No company gets to do what Disney got to do in Florida. Not before or since. Virtually every mainstream media outlet lauded Disney's efforts and said that the now voided agreements amounted to a loss for DeSantis. Obviously not here in Florida. And insisted the governor had been outmaneuvered. Remember? And again, if you were outside of the state of Florida, you heard all this stuff. We here in Florida were like, nah, that's not happening. This was, of course, not true. And now it's finally been put to rest. Brian Griffin, not the Brian Griffin from Family Guy. The communication director for DeSantis celebrated the outcome in a statement to Florida Voice, one that was foreseeable by anyone not blinded by anti-conservative bias, noting Disney admitted in the settlement that its last-minute development agreements are null, void, and unenforceable. No corporation should be its own government, Griffin emphasized. Moving forward, we stand ready to work with Disney and the district to help promote economic growth, family-friendly tourism, and accountable government in Central Florida. Just a sample of the hyperbolic headlines are I'm going to read here, surely none of which will be corrected or updated by the biased media that gleefully yet incorrectly proclaimed DeSantis had lost to Disney. Again, Newsweek. Ron DeSantis board rages against Disney World after legal humiliation. From the Vox. I mean, these were all headlines. How Disney just beat Ron DeSantis. Out negotiated by Mickey Mouse. DeSantis board reveals Disney quietly stripped them of power. Disney struck a second secret agreement to mess up DeSantis' power grab. It's not a power. It wasn't a power grab. It was now it's going to be how it's supposed to be. Disney brought up all this mess. They deserve all this. And multiple defeats on itself. It brought all this up. If they had worked on making movies and didn't turn into box office studs instead of launching false smears against DeSantis and his legislative agenda, they'd be a lot better off. The company would have had to weather C-suite chaos, plummeting public opinion, or in things with DeSantis delivered egg all over its face. If they had just stayed in their lane. But they couldn't. Now look at you. Now look at you.